Hey everyone, I'm back with another chapter from ICI Study Mat, which is chapter number 3, Income which do not form part of total income. In this video, I'll be covering all the illustration exercise. Do watch the video till the end and do like, share and subscribe the channel. Okay, don't forget to subscribe the channel and also click on the bell icon for the more updated videos of the direct tax. So let's start with illustration number 1. Mr. B grows sugarcane and uses the same for the purpose of manufacture of sugar in his factory. He is manufacturing sugarcane and he is using sugarcane for the manufacture of sugar in his factory. Okay, 30% of the sugarcane, 30% of sugarcane produced is sold for 10 lakhs and the cost of cultivation of such sugarcane is 5 lakhs. So this will be the agriculture income. As we all know, it is satisfying the conditions of agriculture income. So it will be 10 lakh minus 5 lakh will be the agriculture income. Okay, the cost of cultivation of the balanced sugarcane 70% is 14 lakhs. Okay, balanced sugarcane cost of cultivation is 14 lakhs and the market value of the same is 22 lakhs. Okay, market value, if we sell that 70% sugarcane in the market, it will fetch me 22 lakhs. After incurring 1.5 lakhs in the manufacturing process of the balanced sugarcane, the sugar was sold for 25 lakhs. Compute B's business income and agriculture income. So in respect of balanced sugarcane, it is not selling it to the market, rather than it's using that sugarcane for the manufacture of sugar. Okay, so till the point of time the sugarcane is produced, and if we sell it in the market, that is fair market value, that will be till the fair market value of that sugarcane, that will be considered as agriculture income and will reduce the and will deduct the cost of cultivation, and that will be net agriculture income. That is 22 lakhs in this case minus 14 lakh will be net agriculture income, and any income in excess of that, okay, in excess of the fair market value, will be chargeable to business income, and any expense in relation for conversion of sugar cane into sugar, that expense also will be deducted while calculating the business income. So in this case, in excess of the market value, he is selling the sugar at 25 lakhs. So okay, so 25 lakhs, that is in excess of 22 lakhs is 3 lakhs. So 3 lakhs minus 1.5 lakhs will be income under the head business income. Okay, so 1.5 lakhs will be the business income. They might have computed like this, that 25 lakhs minus 22 lakhs, that is fair market value which has been chargeable for under the head agriculture income, and minus 1.5 lakh, that will be the business income. Okay, 25 minus 22 minus 1.5 lakh, that will be business income, as agriculture income has been taxed at agriculture income. While computing agricultural income, fair market value has been taken as 22 lakhs in respect of 70% of the shares. Okay, computation of business income and agriculture income of Mr. B. Okay, sale of sugar, they have computed business income first. Business income, sale proceeds of sugar is 25 lakhs less market value of the sugar is 22 lakhs. Market value of that will be sugar cane, I guess. They had written sugar, but it should be sugar cane. Less manufacturing expense 1.5 lakhs. So business income is 1.5 lakhs. Okay, now agriculture income, market value of sugar cane, that will be 70% sugar cane is 22 lakhs less cost of cultivation is 14 lakhs. So net agriculture income in respect of 70% is 8 lakhs. Sale of sugar cane, agriculture income is sale proceeds of sugar cane is 30% share is 10 lakh and cost of cultivation is 5 lakhs. So net agriculture income is 5 lakhs. So total agriculture income is coming to 13 lakhs and business income is coming to 1.5 lakhs, that is 1,50,000. So hope you have understood. That was a simple question. Now let's move to illustration number 2. Okay, Mr. C manufactures latex from the rubber plant grown by him in India. These are then sold in the market for 30 lakhs. Okay, the cost of growing rubber plant is 10 lakhs and that of the manufacturing latex is 8 lakhs. Compute his total income. As we all know, in case of rubber plant, growing and manufacturing of rubber from the rubber plant, that will be 65% will be considered as agriculture income and 35% will be considered as business income. So we'll first compute the total profit and then we'll segregate that thing, the total profit, into agriculture income and business income. So in this case, 30 lakhs minus 10 lakh minus 8 lakh, that is coming to 12 lakh, and we'll segregate that 12 lakh into 65% and 35%. 65% will be business income, agriculture income, and 35% will be business income. Okay, let's see the solution. The total income of Mr. C comprises of agriculture income and business income. Okay, the total profit from the latex, from the sale of latex is equal to 30 lakhs minus 10 lakhs minus 8 lakhs is coming to 12 lakhs. Agriculture income is 65% of 12 lakh is 7.8 lakhs, and business income is 35% of 12 lakh, that is 4.2 lakhs. Okay, hope you have understood this one as well. Now move to illustration number 3. Ankur, the owner of a land situated in Kerala, used for growing thereon different types of fruits, paddy, vegetables, and flowers, received from Yahoo Movies Limited, Chennai, rupees 5 lakhs as rent towards the use of this land for shooting of a film. Okay, the amount so received was accounted by him in the books as revenue derived from agriculture and claimed to be exempt under section 10(1). He now wants to confirm from you whether the amount has been correctly treated by him as agriculture income. So this is a favorite question of ICI, okay, that might come in the exam. So in this case, as on the agriculture land there is a shooting going on, there is no direct nexus with the agriculture income in that. Okay, because no manufacturing, no agricultural work is being carried out on this land in respect of that shooting and all, which the amount is receiving. Ankur is receiving 5 lakhs, so he cannot treat that 5 lakh rupees which he have received for giving the permission for the shooting on that land. That cannot be considered as agriculture income because there is no direct nexus with the agricultural operation, though no agricultural operation is carrying out in respect of which he is receiving 5 lakhs. It's a shooting going on, so that will not be treated as agriculture income and it will be chargeable to tax. Okay, let's see the solution. The income received by Mr. Ankur from a filmmaker for allowing them to shoot a film in the agriculture land owned by him is not in the nature of agriculture income because it was neither received by him against the sale of agricultural produce obtained nor for the carrying out the normal agricultural operation on the land, because no agricultural operation was carried out or no agricultural produce is selling, so that will be not be an agriculture income. The amount paid was only for the purpose of shooting of a film on such land. To claim exemption in respect of agriculture income under section 10(1), the condition contained in section 21A A to C have to be first complied with or fulfilled by the SSC. The Madras High Court, in the case of B. Nagi Reddy versus CIT 2002 258 ITR 719, following the judgment of Apex Court in the case of CIT versus Raja Binoy Kumar Sahas Roy 1957 32 ITR 466, has held on identical facts that income derived for allowing a shooting of film in the agriculture land cannot be treated as agriculture income as it has no nexus with the land except that it was carried out on the land. Okay, so there was no direct nexus with the agriculture operation, so it will not be treated as agriculture income and it will be treated as non-agriculture income. Okay, so hope you have understood this one. You cannot claim it to be an agriculture income under section 10(1). Now let's move to next illustration, that is illustration number 4. Mr. X, a resident, has provided the following particulars of his income for the previous year 1920. Income from salary computed is 2,80,000. Income from house property is 2,50,000. Agriculture income from a land in Jaipur is 4,80,000. Expense incurred for earning agriculture income is 1,70,000. Okay, compute his taxable tax liability assuming his age is 45 years and 70 years. Okay, so he has income of salary, house property, agriculture income. Okay, so we all know that whenever any for chargeability of capital agriculture income, two conditions must be satisfied. That is, first the person SSC should have received agriculture income, net agriculture income, that is exceeding 5,000, and he has other income other than agriculture income exceeds the basic exemption limit. His other agriculture income is exceeding the basic exemption limit, so agriculture income will be taken for the purpose of slab purpose. Okay, while computing tax. Okay, now let's move to the solution. Computation of total income of Mr. X for the assessment year 2021. Computation of tax liability, age 45 years. For the purpose of partial integration of taxes, Mr. X has satisfied both the conditions, that is, net agriculture income exceeds 5,000 per annum. His net agriculture income is exceeding 5,000, and non-agriculture income exceeds the basic exemption limit of 2,50,000. Both the conditions are satisfied in this case, as he has already 2,80,000 as salary, so it is exceeding 2,50,000. That is also satisfied, and net agriculture income is coming to, that is 4,80,000 minus 1,70,000, that is coming to 3,10,000. Okay, so his agriculture income will be taken for the purpose of slab purpose, and accordingly we will solve it. Okay, now let's see. His liability, tax liability, is computed in the following manner. Income from salary is 2,80,000, income from house property is 2,50,000. Net agriculture is coming to 3,10,000. Less exempt under section 10(1) is 3,10,000. Okay, so his gross total income is exempt, agriculture income is exempt under section 10(1). Only for the slab purpose we'll take it and then we'll give the exemption. We'll see how it's showing. I'll show you step by step how they are computing the tax liability after and including the agriculture income is the total income. Okay, so its gross total income is 5,30,000. No deduction is there under chapter 6A, so total income into 5,30,000. Okay, the first step we'll do is that in the total income we'll add the agriculture income, net agriculture income. That is, after adding the net agriculture income, total income is coming to 8,40,000. Okay, on that we'll compute the tax, as the age is 45 years, so basic exemption will be 2,50,000. so first accordingly, first on 2,50,000 tax will be nil. Next 2,50,000 will be at the rate of 5%, and balance 3,40,000 will be at the rate of 20%. Okay, so if they've computed accordingly, it's coming to 80,500. Okay, and the second step will be, that is, on the agriculture income we'll add the basic exemption and we'll compute the tax accordingly. Okay, so it's coming to 5,60,000. Tax on 5,60,000 will be 24,500. That is, on 2,50,000 will be amount will be nil. Next 2,50,000 will be computed at the rate of 5%, and balance 60,000 will be at the rate of 20%. Okay, so from step 1 tax is coming to 80,500, and from step 2 tax is coming to 24,500. So in the next step we'll do step 1 minus step 2, that is 80,500 minus 24,500, so total is coming to 56,000. so the total tax payable will be 56,000 plus 4% says health and education says, so the total amount is coming to 58,240. So for the slab purpose we are taking agriculture income, and will accordingly compute. For exemption also we'll take the basic exemption slab and agriculture income, and the tax computed on the step 2 will be deducted from the tax computer in step 1. Okay, and that will be the tax payable, and we'll add 4% health and education, that will be the tax liability. Okay, in the second part, age is 70 years, so basic exemption will be 3 lakhs in this case. Okay, and let's see the solution. For the purpose of partial integration of tax, Mr. X has satisfied both the conditions, that is net agriculture income exceeds 5,000 per annum and non-agriculture income exceeds the basic exemption limit of 3 lakhs. Okay, his tax liability is computed in the following manner. Step 1, that is 5,30,000 plus 3,10,000, that is coming to 8,40,000 same, but the tax will be different because the basic exemption in this case is 3 lakhs. So okay, tax on 8,40,000 will be 48,000 as 3 lakh will be nil. Next balance 2 lakh will be computed at the rate of 5%, and balance on the rest of the portion, that is 3,40,000, will be at the rate of 20%. And the step 2, on the basic will add the agriculture income plus basic exemption, that is coming to 3,10,000 plus 3 lakh, that is coming to 6,10,000. Tax on 6,10,000 is 32,000, that is on first 3 lakh will be nil, next 2 lakh will be at the rate of 5%, and balance 1,10,000 will be at the rate of 20%. So we'll do again step 1 minus step 2. Okay, let's move next. Step 1 minus step 2, that is 78,000 minus 32,000, that is coming to 46,000. So the tax payable will be in step 4 and 5, 46,000 plus 4% health and education cess, so the amount is coming to 47,840. Okay, hope you have understood this thing. Now next, move to next illustration. Illustration number 5. An amount of rupees 5 lakh was paid on 17th March 2020 to the parents of Amit by the government of Chhattisgarh as compensation to the aggrieved family, whose only son Amit lost his life in a Maosh local bomb blast in Dantawade. Examine with reason whether the amount of compensation received is chargeable to tax in the assessment year 2021. No, it will not be chargeable. See the solution. As per section 1010 BC, the meaning of disaster shall be derived from Disaster Management Act 2005, which defines disaster to mean a catastrophe, mishap, calamities, or grave occurrence in any area arising from natural or man-made cause or by accident or negligence. It should have the effect of causing substantial loss of life or human suffering or damage to and destruction of property or damage to or degradation of environment. It should be of such a nature or magnitude to be beyond the coping capacity of the community of the affected area. Okay, if for this reason any compensation is paid by the central government or by the state government or by local authority, then the same will be exempt from tax. Accordingly, the amount of 5 lakhs received by parents of deceased Amit from government of Chhattisgarh for the disaster because of Dantawade bus bomb blast is exempt under section 1010 BC. Okay, that is a simple thing, that is any amount received from government on the occurrence of any incidents, that will not be chargeable to tax in the hands of the parents. Okay, move to illustration number 6. Okay, it's a good question. Illustration number 6. Miss J, a Sikkimi woman, married Mr. K, a non-Sikkimese, on 1st January 1st 2008 during the previous year 1920. She received rent of rupees 12 lakh from letting out of house property situated in the state of Sikkim. Is she liable to income tax for the assessment year 2021? Will your answer be different if she has married Mr. K on 16th April 2008? Okay, let's see what they're saying. Section 1026 AAA provides that the following income which accrues or arises to a Sikkimese individual shall be exempt from income tax. That is, income from any source in the state of Sikkim, that is, any income which is arising in the state of Sikkim, that will be exempt. And income by way of dividend or interest on securities, that is, income by way of dividend or interest on securities, that they have not mentioned that it should be arise in the state of Sikkim only. That is, income arise in the any state, that is, which three income is only two income, that is dividend or interest income, interest on securities, if we are receiving it, not in the state of Sikkim, in any state, to a Sikkimese only, okay, that will be also be exempt. Okay, however, there is some condition. The aforesaid exemption will not be available to a Sikkimese woman who marries a non-Sikkimese individual on or after 1st April 2008. That is, if a Sikkimese woman marries a non-Sikkimese, then she won't get the exemption, above two exemption, that is A and B. If she marries on or after 1st April 2008, she won't get the exemption. Okay, since Ms. J, the SSC, married Mr. K on 1st January 2008, income derived by her by way of rent from property situated in the state of Sikkim shall be exempt under section 1026 AAA. Okay, she will get the exemption. However, if she had married Mr. K on 16th April 2008, that is after 1st April 2008, the exemption would not be available. Then she would not get the exemption if she marries Mr. K on 16th April. Okay, that is after 1st April 2008, on or after 1st April 2008. Okay, now, okay, there is a note there. Note the restriction in section 1026 AAA applies only to Sikkimese women and not to the men who are eligible for the exemption in respect of the above said income, regardless of their marrying Sikkimese or non-Sikkimese women. That is, this restriction is applicable only to a Sikkimese woman and not to men. That is, Sikkimese men can marry anyone, still the men will get the exemption in this case. Okay, many women or many girls won't be happy regarding this situation of the Sikkimese as well, because they will be saying that there is a total partiality. So can't help it, that is a law made by the government, so we have to follow that. Now let's move to illustration number 7. Y Limited furnishes you the following information for the year ended 31st March 2020. Total turnover of Unit A located in SEZ is 100 lakhs. Profit of the business of Unit A is 30 lakhs. Export turnover of Unit A is 50 lakhs. Okay. Total turnover of Unit B located in domestic tariff area is 200 lakhs. Profit of the business of Unit B is 20 lakhs. Compute the deduction under section 10AA for the assessment year 2021, assuming that Y Limited commences operation in SEZ and domestic tariff area in 2016-17. So as we all know, 100% deduction will be allowed in respect of SEZ in first 5 years. So it is in the first 5 years, that is 17 is the first year, 18 is the second year, 19 is the third year, and this is the fourth year. So we will get the exemption, but only in respect of special economic zone unit and not in respect of domestic tariff unit. Okay, let's see the solution. 100% of the profit derived from export of articles or things or services is eligible for deduction under section 10AA since financial year 1920 falls within the first 5 years period commencing from the year of manufacturing or production of article or things or provision of services by the unit in SEZ. So this in the first 5 years, as I said, you will get 100% deduction in respect of profit derived from export. Okay. As per section 10AA 7, the profit derived from export of articles or things or services shall be amount which bears to the profit of the business of the undertaking, being the unit, the same proportion as the export turnover in respect of the articles or turnover or services bears to the total turnover of the business carried on by the undertaking. They're simply saying this formula thing they have said in a statement way. We'll see the formula and you can read it, that you can ignore that thing and simply write the formula as well and solve the answer. You can skip this para, that is as per section 10AA, that para you can skip it. Okay, section deduction under section 10AA is profit of the business of unit A into export turnover of unit A divided by total turnover. So profit is 30 lakhs into 50 lakhs, that is the export turnover of unit A, divided by total turnover, that is 100 lakhs, equal to, that is coming to 15 lakhs. Okay, so deduction under section 10AA will be 15 lakhs, and no deduction will be available in respect of domestic tariff area. So note is given over here in respect of that. No deduction under section 10AA is allowable in respect of profit of unit or business of unit B located in domestic tariff area. Unit B deduction will not be available under section 10AA because it is located in domestic tariff area, not in special economic zone. Okay, that's it with the illustrations. Now let's move to the exercise. Question number 1. Examine with reason based on the provisions of the Act as to chargeability of the following receipts to tax in the assessment year 2021. Okay. Rent of rupees 60,000 charged from tenant occupying houses constructed on the land situated in India and used for agriculture purpose. The tenant working in the nearby industrial area occupy this house for their own residential purpose. So he won't get the exemption because no agriculture operation is there. Okay, and he is receiving a rent, and that is no agriculture operation is there, and though there is no direct nexus. So let's see the answer. As per section 10(1), agriculture income is exempt from tax. The meaning and scope of agriculture income is defined in section 2(1). According to explanation 2 to section 2(1)(a), any income derived from any building from the use of such building for any purpose, including letting for residential purpose or for the purpose of any business or profession other than agriculture income, shall not be agriculture income. Okay, therefore the rent of 60,000 from letting out of house constructed on agricultural land for residential purpose of industrial workers shall not be treated as agriculture income by virtue of explanation 2 to section 2(1). Hence such income would be chargeable to tax. Okay, it won't be exempt and it will be chargeable to tax. Income of 75,000 derived by Anand Nursery from the sale of seedlings grown without carrying out all the basic operations on the land. So in case of nursery, whether you have carried out any operation on that thing or not, anything grown and it is grown automatically without any operation being carried out on that for the seedlings in the nursery. So if we sell that thing, okay, that will be income under the head agriculture income and will not be chargeable to tax. It will be exempt under agriculture income, whether basic operation has been carried out or not on that. Okay, let's see the solution. Explanation 3 to section 2(1)(a) provides that income derived from saplings or seedlings grown in a nursery shall be deemed to be agriculture income whether or not the basic operation were carried out on land. Accordingly, the income of 75,000 derived by Anand Nursery from the sale of seedlings grown without carrying out all the basic operation on the land shall be treated as agriculture income and exempt from tax under section 10(1). Okay, so it will be exempt. Now let's see number 3. They've written the third part as Roman 2, that will be Roman 3. Mr. Gaitonde, born and brought up in the state of Sikkim, had a net profit of rupees 2,25,000 from the business located in Sikkim and interest of rupees 55,000 on the securities bond issued by government of Rajasthan. Okay, so both the income will be exempt as is a Sikkimese. Business income is derived from the Sikkimese from the location of Sikkim only, and interest income is arising to a Sikkimi, that Mr. Gaikonde is Sikkimi only, and he is getting the interest income from securities or bond uh, issued by government of Rajasthan. I told you in the previous sum of Sikkimi 1, it was provision was written that income arising to any Sikkimis, okay, from any source of income in the state of Sikkim, that will be exempt. So in this case 2,25,000 will be exempt, and interest income, that is getting interest on securities or dividend income from any state, that will be also be exempt, okay, to the Sikkimis. So let's see the solution. Section 1026 AAA exempts the income which accrues or rise to a Sikkimese individual from any source in the state of Sikkim, and income by way of dividend or interest on securities. Therefore, the income of Mr. Gaitonde from a business located in Sikkim and interest income on the securities or bonds of government of Rajasthan shall not be subject to tax. It will be exempt, okay, as per section 1026 AAA. Okay, let's move to the question number 2. That is, I think that is the last question of this chapter. And question number 2, Rudra Limited has one unit at SEZ and the other unit at domestic tariff area. The company provides the following details for the previous year 1920. Rudra Limited sales is given. Total sales is 600 lakhs. Export sales is 460 lakhs. And net profit is 80 lakhs. And unit in domestic tariff area, total sales is 200 lakhs. Export sale is 160 lakhs and net profit is 20 lakhs. Okay. Calculate the eligible deduction under section 10AA of the Income Tax Act 1961 for the assessment year 2021 in the following situations. If both the unit were set up and started manufacturing from 22/5/2012, okay, that means that was 12-13 is the first year, 13-14 second year, 13-14 is the second year, 14-15 is the third year, 15-16 is the fourth year, 16-17 is the fifth year, 17-18 is the sixth year, 18-19 is the seventh year, and 19-20 is the eighth year, that is eighth year. So in the after 5 years 50% deduction will be given in respect of export profit, only in respect of SEZ unit. So in this case, Rudra Limited total sales and export sales is given and net profit is given, and unit of domestic tariff area, total sales, export sales and net profit is given. So from the total sales of Rudra Limited, if we deduct the domestic tariff area unit sale, we'll get the total sale of SEZ unit. From the export sale of Rudra Limited, if we'll deduct the sale of domestic tariff area, export sale of domestic tariff area, we'll get the export sale of SEZ unit. And if we'll deduct from the net profit of Rudra Limited 80 lakhs, we'll deduct domestic tariff area net profit, that is 20 lakh. So it will give 60 lakh, that will be the SEZ net profit. Okay, so this is in the first situation. This is the 8th year. So in the 8th year 50% of the export profit will be allowed a deduction under section 10AA. And what is the second part? If both the unit was set up and started manufacturing from 14th May 2016, then the 16-17 will be the first year, 17-18 will be the second year, 18-19 will be the third year, and 19-20 will be the fourth year. So he will be in second situation, he will get 100% of the export profit will be available as deduction, okay, under section 10AA. So let's see the solution. Computation of deduction under section 10AA of the Income Tax Act 1961. As per section 10AA, in computing the total income of Rudra Limited from its unit located in special economic zone, which begins to manufacture or produce article or things or produce any services during the previous year relevant to the assessment year, commencing on or after 1st April 2006, but before 1st April 2021, there shall be allowed a deduction of 100% of the profit and gain derived from export of such article or thing off from services for a period of 5 consecutive assessment years, beginning with the assessment year relevant to the previous year in which the unit begins to manufacture or produce such article or things, or provide services as the case may be, and 50% of such profit for the further 5 assessment years subject to the fulfillment of other conditions specified in section 10AA. So in this case, if we commence operation on or after 1st April 2006 and but before 1st April 2021, then only in this period. So if we'll commence this operation in this period, then on first 5 years we'll get 100% deduction in respect of export profit, okay, and balance 5 years will get 50% of the export profits as allowable as deduction in respect of export turnover, export profit. Okay, so let's see the solution. Computation of eligible deduction under section 10AA. See working note below. If unit, let's see the note, working note first. Working note: computation of total sales, export sales, and net profit of unit in SEZ. So as I said, how will we compute the unit SEZ, total sales, export sales, and net profit? So Rudra Limited total sales is there. We'll deduct domestic tariff area total sales. We'll get the SEZ total sales. Exports, from export sales of Rudra Limited, we'll deduct the DTA export sales. We'll get the unit SEZ export sales, and from the net profit of Rudra Limited, we'll deduct the net profit of DTA unit. We'll get the net profit of SEZ unit. Okay, now let's move up. First part of this question: if the unit in SEZ was set up and began manufacture from 22 May 2012, since assessment year 2021 is the 8th assessment year from assessment year 13-14 relevant to the previous year 2012-13, in which the SEZ unit begins manufacture of article or thing, it shall be eligible for deduction of 50% of the profit derived from export of such article or thing, assuming all other conditions specified in section 10AA are fulfilled. Okay, so profit of unit in SEZ equal into export turnover of unit in SEZ divided by total turnover of unit in SEZ into 50%. Okay, so 60 lakh is the profit of the unit of SEZ into 300 lakh export turnover of unit SEZ. So 300 lakh divided by 400 lakh into 50%, that will be coming to 22 lakh. And in the second situation, the amount will be coming to, that is 25 lakhs. Let's see. If unit in SEZ was set up and began manufacture from 14th May 2016, since assessment year 2021 is the 4th assessment year from assessment year 17-18, the relevant to the previous year 16-17, in which the SEZ unit begins manufacturing of articles or things, it shall be eligible for deduction of 100% of the profit derived from export of such articles or things, assuming all the other conditions specified in section 10AA are fulfilled. So profit of unit in SEZ into export turnover of unit in SEZ divided by total turnover of unit in SEZ into 100%. So 60 lakhs into 300 lakhs divided by 400 lakhs into 100%. Sorry, I said 25 lakhs. Sorry, it was 45 lakhs. It will be 45 lakhs. The unit set up in domestic tariff area is not eligible for deduction for the benefit of deduction under section 10AA in respect of its export profit. Okay, in both the situations. So as we all know, as I said in the previous sum of section 10AA, that in respect of domestic tariff area we won't get the deduction under section 10AA. Okay, that's it with this chapter. Hope you have understood this one. Any doubt, write me on the comment box. So if there is a doubt, please do write me on the comment box. I'll try to resolve at the earliest. And don't forget to subscribe the channel. Do share with your friends so that they can also solve. Exam days are very near, so try to utilize your time as much as possible. Okay, and another announcement: anyone willing to solve indirect tax ICAI study mat questions, you can visit the link given in the description, and do subscribe the channel don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so that you can get the latest update of this channel. Okay, thank you very much. Stay healthy. Bye bye.